Believe it or not everyone solves their problems with their fists.
2 girls?
2.
You want to tag along for an exorcism?
Yep.
That's out of the bloody question, love.
Well, we gave you its name, so you owe us.
Well, I gave you your soul, so you owe me indefinitely.
All the more reason for me to help you.
How is Fitz even here?
No, he just showed up out of nowhere with his own spaceship.
It's a baller move. Not to mention the whole bounty hunter look he's rocking.
I still prefer my cardigans.
Welcome back to the Phantom Zone.
Hello.
I'm Charles Skaggs.
And I am Karen Lindsay.
Hello. And I'm just showing off my new
007.
Bond. James Bond.
That's what it looks like. He's not wearing a cardigan.
Nope.
He's wearing a tuxedo.
He's wearing a black tuxedo.
That's right. And he's
I found one.
A gun.
And I had it's the Sean Connery Bond.
It's very nice.
So this is like a variant version that I found. I was lucky enough to find in Barnes & Noble of all places.
Very nice.
Because the regular version of Connery has him in the white...
The white tuxedo jacket?
White tuxedo jacket.
Yeah. Like the Casino Royale type. Right. Yeah.
Well, that's more from... I think it was the white tuxedo jacket from Goldfinger.
Okay.
But this is a more traditional...
Bond, yeah.
Connery and Bond in his black tuxedo, like he was in his first appearance in Dr. No, and so I prefer him in the black tux.
From the receding hairline, and I'm not joking. Yeah. He does. He has a receding hairline.
Yeah, he does have a little because it is Connery.
Right.
So, yeah. But,
that's awesome.
So
there's a Funko, a Sean Connery James Bond with a receding hairline Funko in a black tuxedo, which is awesome.
And there's a Roger Moore one, but I didn't get that one. But
so what is he, like light brown hair?
Kind of, yeah. It's a lighter shade of brown, and not as receding with the hairline.
Right.
And it has like I think a little like mole or something on the side of his cheek.
Interesting.
But just like Roger Moore.
Right. So
it's moly.
On that same topic, Netflix now has a special about Funko.
Really?
Yeah, and it is really, really interesting. So
I didn't know that.
Urge you guys to watch it. I don't remember what it's called, but I mean, it's easy enough to find.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just do a search for Funko.
That's
probably
right.
All right, so you don't care about that stuff. You care about the TV shows we're going to talk about.
We talk about those every week, though, the Funkos. It's our
you're
thing.
Right. They should kind of like be prepared for this kind of discussion.
That's right. We share our toys at the beginning of the episode.
But we don't just talk about the toys.
No, we don't.
No, we're not. So here at episode 140, can you believe we're at 140 already?
No, I can't.
Holy crap for crap,
I know.
Man.
It goes so fast when you're having this much fun.
I would hope you're having fun. I hope everybody else is having fun out there. Only 10 more episodes to go to the big 150.
I know. So we're going to have to do something special.
Apparently, we got to start planning. So,
does that coincide at all with the Preacher premiere?
Well, it's going to be like, if you do the math, this should be like 2.5 months from now. If we do every other, do every week.
It's almost.
So it might be in more line close to the Preacher finale.
Is it? Okay.
Somewhere in there, depending on how many episodes. I think they do 13 episodes. So we'll see.
We'll have to do a special, some sort of special episode.
Because you never know. There may be a skip week or whatever. But because Preacher starts up here in just like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So like around 142, 143 episode. So
we got to do a special Preacher episode. That's all.
Yep.
I can't wait.
So I posted the
trailer.
First teaser trailer.
Crazy.
So you get to see crazy stuff like Cassidy with TC.
I know.
That can't go over well.
Can't be good.
No, that's not good news.
No. I shared it on Facebook and I also tweeted it. And crazy. It's just crazy. I have seen it like 4 or 5 times now. And
they've already spoiled Tulip's resurrection.
I know.
I'm like, why did you do that?
I know. I've downloaded it as well. And I mean,
granted, if you know the comics, you know it's good. She's going to get resurrected. But
of course. And I've gone through the whole thing looking at the frames to see, yeah. Because there's cool stuff that kind of blows
What did you think
by.
What did you think of Betty Buckley as grandma?
Oh, she looks great.
Doesn't she?
She does. And the voice and everything. And
I'm hoping that she's wearing a wig as grandma. Because I want to see her like bald with like little wispies hair.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. And we get to see Eugene with Saint of Killers.
Yeah.
They're together in a scene.
Poor Arseface can't not catch a break.
Crazy town.
He's now like he gets out of hell, and who's like throwing him up against the wall? The Saint of Killers.
I know. I can't wait.
Wah.
Okay, so.
All right. So anyway,
those are all things to tantalize you guys.
Exactly. So coming soon to the Phantom Zone podcast, Preacher Season 3.
To a Phantom Zone near you.
Exactly. But for this week, for the week ending June the 2nd, 2018, as we're almost halfway through 2018 already.
Oh.
So this week we're going to talk about Lucifer 326. No, wait a minute. You're like, wait, didn't Lucifer end? Well, they threw a couple bonus episodes.
That's right. And they were both really good.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the one of the bonus episodes that they were going to save for season 4. But since there is no season 4, we got to see them.
Yeah.
And they got really low ratings, by the way, those episodes.
I know. Well,
because nobody knew they were going to be there.
And they were on a holiday.
Yeah, exactly.
They were on Memorial Day.
They buried it on Memorial Day when everybody's off doing stuff.
Exactly.
Because they don't care about the show and they just want it to fade away quietly. So we're going to talk about also Supergirl 320 as that show starts to wind down for the season. iZombie 413, the season finale of that. Mm-hmm. Big iZombie episode. We haven't talked iZombie for a while.
We haven't, and it was a huge episode.
So this would be a good way to catch up. And, now that we actually have an opportunity to catch up. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Legion 209 for Chapter 17.
I can't see us skipping an episode of Legion, to be fair. Cause...
No, the only time we skipped episodes was because we didn't record.
Right.
So, of course, Legion is our downfall. We know it because every episode that I listen to, this one always seems to take like at least a half an hour for us to talk about.
I know. Okay, so we'll blow through it.
This is our time killer, Legion, because there's so much to talk about.
Well, there is. It's so crazy and weird.
And we got some good news because Legion's coming back for season 3.
That's right. They renewed it.
Yay! One more waffle boats.
Oh, no. Why are you doing that?
More uneaten waffle boats. No.
They didn't have waffle boats in this episode, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And now you've put it in my head. Oh, no.
That's what I do.
Wah-wah.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive. All right. So let's dive right in. Lots to talk about. Lucifer 326. Once Upon a Time. That's teleplay by Ildi Modrovich and Joe Henderson, former showrunners, because, hey, you have no more show. And directed by Kevin Alejandro.
That's right.
Yes, old Detective Douche himself.
Detective Douche himself, that's
right. So now he's Director Douche.
That's right. He was called something else in the episode, though.
Yes, he was. I've heard it both ways.
Stop it. You stole my title.
Not
so
yet.
The storyline titles are She's Not One, but she plays one in the movies.
Yes.
And that would be Detective.
Yeah.
The B story is Douche Dildo. I've heard it both ways. Thank you for stealing that.
Well, to be fair, you stole it from Skaggs. So.
I did. I stole it from
You can't be too upset about it.
Yeah. And then, Oh God, You Devil.
Yeah.
That would be the voiceover.
Yeah.
Which we will be talking about. She is one, and she plays one on TV.
Okay.
It's Dr. Linda.
Oh, okay.
And then Cinderella. Get it?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you...
Cinderella.
Got it. I see what you did there.
Thank
Very
you.
clever. I like that
you.
one, actually.
Do you?
I like that. I like Cinderella.
It's subtle.
Yeah, it is subtle. You didn't play the theme while you did the...
No, I
it Buzz
didn't. No,
Play the theme.
Do you want to hear the theme?
I want to hear the theme. This is the Twin Peaks version.
I know. It's the psych theme, boys and girls. Do you want the whole theme?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You don't have to do the whole theme, but yeah, that was the Twin Peaks version of the Psych theme.
That's right. And I've heard it both ways is, of course, a line from Psych. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, they say it.
Yeah, and as we've talked about here on that I mentioned that Karen was kind enough to join us on Ghostwood. She joined Zan Sprouse and me to talk about Psych, which was awesome, and we did play you got to hear the full theme on that one.
That's right.
So
and
if
it
you want
just
to check
so
out,
happens that it's still on my soundboard.
you want to check that out, check out Ghostwood episode 33, where we talk about Dual Spires, the Twin Peaks episode.
And Psych remains one of my favorite shows. So I still use the catchphrases a lot. Like, that's right. And I've heard it both ways. So.
See, now I get to be like Captain America in the Avengers movie going, I understood that reference.
See?
Because now
you understand those.
Now I understand it, now that you explained it to me from our Psych discussion.
That's right.
So, yeah, I get it now.
Hooray.
All right. So, let's dive right in. She's not one, but she plays one in the movies. And this, of course, is Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Who are Chloe Decker. But it's not quite Chloe Decker that we're familiar with because the premise of this episode is a what if.
Correct.
And we have a narrator in this episode. We have the voice of God.
So great.
And who plays the voice of God, Karen?
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman, the creator, the co-creator, I should say, of Lucifer Morningstar.
Right.
From DC Comics' Vertigo series, The Sandman. That's right. And who eventually was spun off into his own very popular series by Mike Carey. Mm-hmm. And so Neil Gaiman, Lucifer's father, plays Lucifer's father in this episode.
Yep.
How great is that?
It's so good.
And it's always great to hear Neil Gaiman. So at the very least, I have to give credit to Fox for thank you for allowing this episode to air so that we could get the Neil Gaiman episode.
Damn straight.
Because I was worried. I was like, well, if they don't air it, will it be on the Blu-ray or will it not? So at least we got that. So
and I guess we should give a nod to Sam Keith, who is the co-creator of Lucifer.
Actually, that was Mike Dringenberg.
It says Sam Keith.
Yeah, it's incorrect.
Okay.
Because Dringenberg, I believe, well, I'm trying to remember who he first appeared in the Sandman issue 4.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if Keith drew that issue or did Mike Dringenberg draw that issue.
Well, it says Sam Keith here.
All right, well, let's go with Sam Keith then. Maybe Dringenberg.
I know Dringenberg had a lot to do with it.
Maybe, Dringenberg was the inking Sam Keith.
Right.
So maybe he was the inker.
Yeah, it might have been all three, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'd rather not give Sam Keith a lot of credit. Well, he created the Max, which is not my favorite.
What's wrong with that? I kind of like that
series.
Do
you like it? Okay.
I mean, I didn't read the comic book series, but I like the cartoon.
Okay.
On Liquid Television.
It's not my favorite thing.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it wasn't the best, but
yeah,
in my opinion.
No,
if you dig it, that's cool. All right.
Of course. So, if you dig it, that's fine. I mean, not you, but
yeah,
whoever
if you
out
there dig
it. Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Obviously. Yeah, Sam Keith and Dringenberg. See, Dringenberg is the one that pops into my head when I think of it, but I think he just did a lot of stuff with Sandman and Lucifer.
So the real quick premise of this episode is that the voice of God, as we find out through the course of the episode, apparently slightly moved the bullet that originally killed Chloe's father.
Right.
That we know of, through the regular continuity.
Right.
So this is like an alternate universe, a parallel universe, where Chloe's dad survives and remains a cop. So Chloe doesn't feel the need to become a cop, and she stays an actress.
Earth 2.
Right. Essentially. Well, it's like, think Back to the Future.
Right.
So Marty, Chloe is in this continuity is not a cop. She's an actress, Marty. So, anyway, that's my lame Christopher Lloyd impression.
Come back for the kids. Yeah,
Lucifer.
I can't do it either.
You've got to go back to the future. No, so
come back for the safe.
Almost sounds a little bit like what's his name? The politician.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, thank you. Yes.
It does. It sounds very much like Bernie Sanders.
A little bit more like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
So in this continuity, Chloe and Lucifer are obviously not partners because, hey, Chloe's not a cop.
Right. But
they actually get together during the course of this episode, proving that, no matter what, some things just happen.
Right. Fate is fate.
Fate is fate.
Everybody ends up kind of on the same path as they were.
Well, a lot of this is also, it kind of takes us a lot back to season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have Detective Douche, who, remember, in season 1 was even more of a douche because, hey, he was a corrupt cop.
Right. And the first case, which was the girl that came to Lucifer, the pop artist, he was the detective on that case, and he didn't investigate it very well. It was an open and shut case, he said, and Lucifer wasn't happy with his handling of the case, and that's why he hates him for that. And it didn't look like that Chloe and Dan had ever gotten married.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But there was no mention of Trixie.
No.
Is there? No. Nope.
Well, they didn't meet because she wasn't on the force, right?
Right. And didn't they have like Chloe's old partner in this episode as well?
Yeah, maybe.
Like the one that was trying to frame Dan in season 1?
Maybe.
I think he was there at the beginning.
Yeah.
But so we start this episode, Chloe's acting like a cop, and then all of a sudden this director calls cut, and it's revealed that it's a movie set.
Right.
And so, we see like a stunt director talking about stunts, and he's asking her out for a drink. And so we get the whole oh, hey, Chloe's not a cop now for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we get our first voiceover.
Right.
From Neil, which is when I squeed.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
So, he talks about there was a world with a small change that changed everything. And then later we catch up with Lucifer, who's playing, of course, at Lux still.
Mm-hmm.
So this basically his life goes on as if he never met Chloe.
Right.
So kind of back where we saw him at the beginning of season 1.
Yep.
And Charlotte Richards is there. She's alive because, hey, she didn't go through the events and wasn't killed.
Right. And she never was his mother.
Right.
Which is quite evident.
Yes, yeah, because they're kind of like Lucifer's wanting to sleep with her, but he can't for some reason.
Hooking up.
He's like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
But we find out Lucifer isn't really happy in L.A.
Yeah.
And he's talking about wanting to go to Vegas.
Mm-hmm. He's unsettled.
And he's got a bunch of money in the safe just to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He's ready to split town. Dr. Linda, obviously not treating Lucifer, is busy being a TV star.
That's right. But she's treating Chloe.
Kind of like a Dr. Phil.
Except for a real doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But,
because Dr. Phil isn't.
Yes. No.
But she was Chloe's doctor.
Right.
And Chloe got her the gig. That's what Chloe says, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the payment. Like, okay, if you get me this gig, I will treat you for free.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. So,
but she said, "Hey."
But
thanks.
apparently, yeah, she's like Chloe's obviously frustrated with her life, and she's bored being an actress.
Right.
And Linda points out she's played this role 5 times before.
Yep.
And she originally wanted to be a role model for women.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, yeah, just that it's not working out for Chloe at the moment.
Right. And it kind of shows the audience that without each other, they're not fulfilled.
Right.
And I guess, of course, the voiceover from God, it's like he's saying, well, this is why I meddle.
Right. And this is why you brought Lucifer and Chloe together.
Right. Because they needed each other.
Right. And, but he's talking about here, he's like, okay, well, here I'm going to show you what things would have been like if I hadn't interfered.
Right. Right.
And he talks about this is where he talks about that things were different for Chloe because he moved the bullet slightly to the left or whatever, and her father's alive.
Right.
So, she goes to see her dad about the stunt director that died at Lux.
Right. And he kind of brushes her off.
Right. And we find her dad's kind of a dick. Kind
of. I mean, until she actually proves herself. And then he is not.
Like, he doesn't respect her because she's an actress, I guess.
Yeah. But you could kind of see that because of how her mother was.
Right.
I mean, he's painting her with the same brush. And her mother was really flighty and shallow.
Right.
And I think
maybe he just thinks that Chloe turned out just like her mom.
Right. I think that's what he's projecting onto her.
Right. So, douche dildo, I've heard it both ways.
It's Dan. Dan is, he's a dirty cop.
Right.
He's gone down the wrong path. He doesn't have someone to redeem him. And he is, taking money under the table. He's not really investigating the crime very well.
No. There's a great moment I saw where he's stealing stuff, putting stuff in a bag, just blatantly doing it.
Yeah, he's taking money from evidence.
Yes.
And Charlotte catches him.
Right.
And she was watching when Lucifer was putting the combination into a safe.
Which is, of course, 666.
Of course it is. And so she tells him that, hey, I happen to know where we can get our hands on some money. And they decide to go in together and pull a heist on Lucifer.
Right.
Which might not be the smartest play.
No. But let's see what else. Dan's, I guess. Lucifer calls Dan Detective Dildo.
Right.
Which is where you're in this version.
Yeah, that's right.
And let's see what else.
Detective Dildo.
Detective Dildo. Yeah. What else? I'm trying to figure out. All right, you talked about how they went to go try to raid Lucifer's safe, and
Maze catches them.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's all I have for Dan, really, until the end.
Well, they go to raid the safe.
Okay.
And Charlotte's there.
Yeah.
Maze catches them.
Right.
And she's got her whole cabal happening with the half-face thing.
Yes, yeah.
We should talk about Maze. On.
Yeah, now remember a while back I talked about Maze having these masks. I'd seen where it was filming on Instagram or whatever, and I was all hopeful maybe we get to see Mazikeen in hell.
Mm-hmm.
this is probably what I saw.
It is what you saw, I'm pretty sure.
Because now, she's apparently got, in this continuity, she has her own half-face cult.
Right.
And apparently the masks are burned onto the cult members.
Yep. They are, which is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, like kind of like Doctor Doom.
Yeah. So
it's like if there's like emerged Doctor Doom and Two-Face, you kind of would get an idea here.
Yeah. So she confronts Charlotte. She has her tied to a chair, and she confronts her, and she says, "What are you doing with the money?" And Charlotte says, "I don't know what you're talking about. Lucifer was giving it to me. I just forgot to get it. He was giving it to me for the Las Vegas thing." And she's like, "Don't try and BS me. What were you doing with it? You were trying to steal it." And she says, "Okay, so I was trying to steal it. I needed it for this. What were you going to do with it?" And then Charlotte finally says, "Whatever I damn well want." And that's when Maze cuts her free. And she says, "You're just going to let me go?" And May says, "Yes, because I'll see you again.
Somewhere hotter."
Somewhere hotter, right. And trust me.
Right.
I'll like it better. I'll enjoy it then, or something like that. I'll enjoy seeing you there.
Yeah, she's like encouraging encouraging Charlotte to go out and do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
So
because she knows she'll see her again in hell.
Right. And then the last thing we just see with Dan and Charlotte, they're driving away in a car, convertible or whatever, all happy.
That's right. On their way to Vegas with their money.
So happy together.
And then after that is when we see Maze burning a mask on another recruit.
Right.
Which is really sinister and awesome at the same time.
Yeah, this is a very dark, dark Maze.
It is. It is. And then the last part is we see Ella in this episode, but she hasn't become an ME. She is still a grease monkey, and she's still stealing cars and cutting them up.
So apparently, Ella is, she kind of stayed with the criminal side of the force.
She's still running a chop shop, I guess.
Yeah.
Lucifer brings Chloe to the garage after, he's already visited her a couple times, but brings Chloe to the garage, and she gets all upset until she hears her voice. "Oh my God, it's Chloe Decker!" And
yeah, she gets all starstruck. It's like, "I've got your poster on my wall."
Right. So, and I love, she says, "You're the one who inspired me." And then Chloe says, "Well, at the end of the movie, I become a policeman." "Oh, I didn't watch it that far." Which I liked.
I love your movie, but I didn't bother finishing it.
Right. Well, because she was reformed in the movie, but and Ella didn't want to be reformed, so Sinner Ella, I enjoyed that very much. I thought that was cute, and she was wearing like an overalls, and it said like a guy's name on the patch. It said like Luigi or something on the patch. I thought it was funny. It had she was almost like she was like from the musical Grease. Yeah, it was really cool. So I enjoyed that. Yeah, everyone had their own different path, and then at the end, Chloe decides she's going to join the force because she's unfulfilled, and then Lucifer says, "Well, maybe I'll join you," and she says, "I don't see that happening," and there we go.
Oh, and Amenadiel's there. He he's kind of like first season Amenadiel, where he's stopping time left and right.
Right.
And there's a moment there where Lucifer goes onto this racetrack.
Right.
And
he wants to talk to the driver.
Yeah, he wants to talk to the driver. So he just walks right out in the middle of the track as the cars are lapping around the track.
Right.
And so Amenadiel has to slow time down and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he pulls the driver out.
Right.
Yeah, and I wanted to address one thing because I'm sure people are wondering why it happened this way. They're on top of this building where there's a balcony, and it's at the end where Lucifer gets shot.
Yeah.
He gets shot like 5 times, and he doesn't get hurt. And Chloe's on the other side of the guy. Yeah.
Well, this is at Griffith Park.
The observatory, right.
The observatory, yeah.
Right.
Where they do a lot of... They've done some episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that people know the reason he doesn't get hurt is because we're back at the first time he was exposed to Chloe. And if you remember in the pilot, he lays on top of Chloe and doesn't get hurt.
Right.
Because it's like the first time.
It's almost like a gradual weakness
by
him being around her.
Right.
So therefore it hasn't weakened him yet.
Right. So I just want to make sure that we address that.
Because remember, Amenadiel's power slowly went away.
Right.
So
whatever the deal is, it's the same thing as what happened in the beginning.
It's not like immediately.
Right.
He loses powers around here. Right. So, we get to see him with his devil face. He lays it on this bad guy, and
he gets shot 5 times. And
right.
Oh, it's a good thing he grabbed the gun that was a prop gun. Yep, good thing.
Yep, good thing. And he covers up his jacket. He uses his blazer to cover up his shirt, which is written with bullet holes. And Ella gets a sign poster at the end of the episode, and Mazikeen's roasting a new inductee, and Amenadiel goes to Lux and wants to meet somebody, but he hesitates. Yeah. And Linda makes this client cry because she has this choice to whether she makes this client cry for ratings because her show is not doing too well. And apparently she decided to go against her better nature and made this guy cry just to get better ratings.
Right. Broke the news on TV that his wife was cheating on him.
Yeah.
Right. So she made the wrong decision to go on TV instead of staying. Yeah.
And then we end with Chloe and Lucifer sharing a drink in the lights of Griffith Park. And this actually kind of works also as a ending to the show.
It does kind of, yeah.
She says the experience of working with him was fulfilling. And she's like, I think I'm tired of being an actor. I want to be a real cop.
Right.
And Lucifer's like, well, I'll tag along. And then God talks about that some people are just drawn together anyway. But in the end, isn't he better off for bringing them together?
Right.
So.
And it's a very God-like thing that he says.
Yeah. Yep.
And thank you, Neil Gaiman.
And that's our show,
for
folks.
Putting a period on the end of that sentence.
Yeah, so essentially this is almost like an alternate reality epilogue
to
the show.
Mm-hmm. Elseworlds epilogue.
Yeah, so.
I liked it.
You liked it. Mm-hmm. So what was your rating for this one?
I gave it 8.5 2 tempting safes.
Okay. And I give it 8 slightly moved bullets. I thought that was okay, but it wasn't like a traditional Lucifer episode.
Yeah.
And I did like that Neil Gaiman was there. That was cool, but they weren't the characters that we normally like. So
that was kind of the point, though.
I get that. I get that. But it's just like, as the last episode of Lucifer we're going to see.
Yeah, well,
presumably
that wasn't their goal.
No, I understand
for it to be.
But yeah,
I just graded it based on this one, and the fact that Neil Gaiman did a voiceover, I just had to give it a good grade.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. So, bye, Lucifer. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for all the fish.
Yep. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Now I want to read some Douglas Adams. All right.
You could do that.
I could do that, but I'm talking right now, so that wouldn't go over too well as I'm sitting there going,
true.
Chapter 1.
It wouldn't do.
All right. So let's move on. Supergirl. 320. Dark Side of the Moon. Written by Derek.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, so break out your Pink Floyd albums. Written by Derek Simon and Katie Rose Rogers. Directed by Hanel Culpepper.
All right.
And what's our A, B, and C, Karen, if you would?
Argo shopping. You know what I want to say, though.
Argo shopping. Yeah. Argo F yourself.
That's right. And that same storyline is also Bored as All Get Out. And Bored, B-O-A-R-D, Bored as All Get Out. Okay. And then B story, May I Mother? Instead of Mother May I.
Mother May I, right.
C stories, there's a couple. Just because they're after you doesn't mean you're paranoid.
Right.
Jerk School. Which,
of course, is Win.
That's right. And then tauntaloguing instead of monologuing.
Is that with tauntauns?
No, they smell bad.
Okay. Only on. You think they smell bad on the outside?
That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that from Return of the Jedi?
Empire. Oh, you did it again. You're trolling me.
I am. I'm trolling you deliberately. Yeah. That is, of course, that's Rain is taunting. Yeah. Taunting.
Yes. You got me monologuing.
Yeah. And she's not monologuing. She's tauntaloguing.
Yeah. All right. So, Argo shopping.
And bored as all get out. It's all the same storyline, really.
Yeah. So, premise of this episode is that Kara and Mon-El are just kind of zooming around space in John's car/spaceship. Mm-hmm. And they get stuck in a tractor beam of a large spaceship and are beamed up. That's no moon. And they're on the dark side of the moon. And so, of course, for some reason, this means that they can't communicate with the DEO.
They're 5 light years away.
Right.
That's a long way away.
Right.
That is not just the dark side of the moon.
Well, it says they're past it, so all right.
I'm just letting you know.
So
we figured it out, John and I.
Okay.
That is like another star system.
So as we're told, Argo City survived the explosion of Krypton and is now located on another planet.
Right.
Where they continue to function as a society because, as told in the comics, the city was covered by a protective dome. Mm-hmm. And thanks to Jor-El's brother, scientist brother Zor-El, Kara's father,
right,
they were able to save their city.
Right.
Because it basically
Krypton.
Krypton exploded one big chunk, man.
Right. It's actually New Krypton, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
If they reveal it, but yeah. But they called it Argo City. So.
I know they did.
Yeah. So they could be essentially doing the New Krypton storyline.
That's my thought.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with that from Superman comics, which featured Mon-El in the lead, because at that point Mon-El was kind of like quote unquote filling in for Superman at this point. Mm-hmm. So that makes perfect sense. So they go there, and Kara is reunited with her mother, Allura.
Who hasn't aged,
but is played by Erica Durance.
Why hasn't she aged?
That's a great question, isn't it?
It is.
Yep.
Kara was stuck in the Phantom Zone.
Right.
Right.
And yes.
Wouldn't Allura be older?
Right. Here's my theory.
Uh-huh.
It's not Allura. It's her sister. Remember Astra? Mm-hmm. That's my theory.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think it's Astra posing as Allura. Somehow she found
Argo. Yourself.
Yep. And
Could
took
be.
over. Maybe.
And she was in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. Or, just maybe Allura, maybe Kryptonians have really long lifespans.
Okay.
And really great genes, so they don't.
Or really great ponchos.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Ponchos.
And I have to say, okay, the shopping part.
Right.
If you want to blend in, steal the same clothes that the other people are wearing.
Thank you. Because what was the point of that? Like, they steal, these ponchos that
no one else is wearing.
No one else is wearing. Exactly.
No one else is wearing them.
Yes. So they still stand out.
Right.
I noticed that. And I'm just like, oh,
no one else is wearing them.
Yeah. Now, at least to Mon-El's credit, he did go back and give the ponchos back.
Right.
It's like, hey, I know we stole these, and then of course it's like, well, you can keep them.
But he didn't. He left them there.
Yeah. It's like, we don't really need the ponchos.
I don't want the ponchos.
You can take them back.
They're ugly ponchos. They're terrible.
Not that great ponchos. Yeah, exactly.
They're terrible ponchos. I hate your ponchos.
Your ponchos suck. No.
I just thought to myself, why are you wearing... Okay, you were wearing capes and latex.
Right.
So you wear the opposite of that, the complete polar opposite, which is still not what the people on the planet are wearing.
Yes. Right.
The people on the planet are wearing Garanimals.
Yeah.
Or those modular clothes. Do you remember the modular clothes? I had the same conversation with John. Okay, so there was this place in the mall, and I meant to look it up.
I know Garanimals because I had them as a kid.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay.
There was a store in the mall, and they had like 5 different shapes of clothes, but they came in all different colors and a couple of patterns.
Okay.
And then you would buy like mix and match.
Okay.
And you could wear like one of the pieces you could wear as like a top, or you could, undo it and wear it like a dress, and you could wear it like a scarf around your neck, and you could wear like different, and one of them came with sleeves, so it could be like a sleeve, or it could be a jacket, or you could wear a belt around it, and it was like modular clothes.
Interesting.
You don't remember this. It was like the 80s.
So basically like mix and match outfits.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. I don't remember
I need to remember what this was called.
Guys did not wear them. Let's just put it that way. Of course
not. Although they made stuff for guys.
I'm sure they did, but no guys wore them in the 80s. Not that I was.
I'm sure they did.
We were too busy wearing like iZombie shirts and yeah.
But they were all like 80s colors and stuff.
Right.
But anyway, that's what...
And dressing like Bill and Ted.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. All right. So, let's see what else. So, Kara, basically they're trying to get this power source to use against the world killers on Earth. Mm-hmm. So, Allura is all like, well, hey, let me bring up to the old High Council and see what they think. So Allura introduces Kara to the High Council, and Kara's like going, well, hey, the world killers have invaded Earth, and that I know they're only legend here in Argo City, but trust me, they're really real, you guys. And I need access to this black rock of Utica to help cure the world killers.
Right.
That's my plan.
But...
Yes. But... So, initially, some of the High Council are kind of not really down with that, including Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager.
Right. Tim Russ.
Tim Russ shows up if you're a Star Trek Voyager fan. Which is great casting, by the way, to bring in Tuvok as a Kryptonian High Council member. So they're kind of split, and the deciding vote comes down to this woman named Selena. Now, if you're a Supergirl fan, you're going, Selena. That name rings a bell. And that, of course, is because Selena was the villain in the Helen Slater Supergirl movie.
Yep.
So right away, warning bells going off. Ring, 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 ring. Should be like alarm bells should be going off big time here. And as we find out through the course of the episode, or the end of the episode, Selena is revealed to be the cloaked woman who has been instructing Rain in her fortress and kind of, manipulating her. So, dun dun dun.
That's right.
And I'm still kind of like side-eyeing Allura because we don't know what her deal is. As you pointed out,
that is correct.
Observantly, that she hasn't aged today.
Aged at all.
So,
yeah.
Erica Durance just moisturizes.
A lot.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
oil of Olay, big time.
Yep. So, oil of Krypton.
Yeah. Oil of Krypton.
Let's see what else. So that's essentially the Mother May I Mother.
No, May I Mother is Alex.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were
No, that's
okay.
all right.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You want to talk about Alex and
Ruby.
What's her name? Ruby. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Because she's not sure whether she could be a mother or not because of her job.
Right. And she kind of dumps off Ruby on Wynn, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
She sure does.
But I guess Alex is kind of her big storyline is that somebody's trying to kill her.
Right.
Take some pot shots at first. Alex thinks, why would they be shooting at Ruby?
Yeah, but they're
not. And then she's like, well, maybe they're shooting at me. So, of course, we have Jean impersonating Alex again. Take a drink.
Right.
He seems to really like that form. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he does.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I like how she was looking in the little mirror to see the glasses or whatever, and she notices that someone has got a gun trained on them.
Right.
Very observant, I thought. And so she throws the grenade in the...
Right.
And, okay. I could see her throwing it in a garbage can, but how many, like, little downtown areas have a hot coal disposal thing? Right. Wouldn't it be better just in a garbage can? I mean...
something. Like, put it down a sewer grate or something. Well, of course, that would kind of damage the sewers, I guess.
Yeah.
But, all right. What about a trash bin?
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no,
No. Well,
It was a hot coal disposal.
Whatever that is.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that I kind of made me laugh about in this episode was this rooftop chase.
Okay.
Which is apparently the world's slowest rooftop chase.
Yeah.
And she's chasing this assassin. The assassin is this doughy white guy.
Yeah.
And Alex is having a hard time taking him down.
Yes. Alex
missed, I'm running just about every episode. Cannot bring this guy down.
Not just that.
Yeah.
But that flip onto the roof from her fingertips.
Right.
Bull crap.
Yeah, she basically does this okay, I'm in the Matrix move.
Yeah, that is bull crap. That's all I can say.
And flips over, breaking every law of physics known to man in the process.
Just the worst.
Yeah, it was not well executed. And then when they're running on the rooftops, it's just like, okay, really?
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
It was bad.
It was not a great moment for the show. So she finally gets the guy, and it's like, oh, it's the twin brother of somebody that used to be in prison at Fort Ross that is trying to kill her.
Yeah. But you killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my brother's dead or whatever, and I want revenge.
Yep.
So that's basically for that. Ruby, who is left with Wynn, as we talked about, and this is our jerk school.
Yeah.
Because essentially, Wynn was a complete dick to Ruby.
Yeah. He gets his head stuck in this zone, I guess, of him scanning to see if
he's
Kara and Mon come back and if they're transmitting back to Earth and all that. So he's absorbed.
He's like mono-focused on what he's doing.
Right.
And he's just kind of like, go away, kid, you bother me.
Right. And when she's trying to talk to him or, hey, show me how this works kind of thing.
Right.
He brushes her off and does a bunch of stuff until he says, and I'm waiting for them to come back so that they can defeat. And she says, my mom.
Right.
And that's when he goes, rah, rah, and
yeah, exactly.
And things are not good.
Oh.
And he realizes, of course, that he has something in common with her.
So Yeah, so he does try to, of course, we knew he was going to try and make it up to her.
Right.
So he goes back to her later, and he's like, hey, my dad tried to kill me, too.
My dad's also a supervillain.
Yeah.
Odd enough.
Yeah, so we have that in common. And now he does kind of own up, like, okay, I was a dick.
Yeah, he does.
So he does own that. And so he does try to make it up to her, and he does. And he's like, hey, why don't you try to help me out with tracking Supergirl's position?
Right.
So.
But still, he is a total jerk.
But see, his first reaction. And that first reactions usually tell you what a person is truly like.
Yep.
Now, granted, you could try to make amends, but if you weren't a dick in the first place, you wouldn't have to make amends. Right. Right?
Now, part of that is how dedicated he is to his job.
Right.
And he gets just totally embroiled in it. And maybe he's not a kid person. And I know I'm making excuses, but I think part of it is because I am not a kid person either.
Yeah. My wife is the same way.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't have kids.
Yeah.
Right?
I tend to get a little. I mean, I've babysat for friends before, and I'm really good with other people's kids as long as I can give them back at the end of the time. But, as long as I know there's a light at the end of that tunnel, I'm good. But,
me, I'm the opposite. I get along really well with kids, probably because I am a kid. And, and as a result, my nieces and nephews like me better than Lori.
Oh, well, there you go. Well,
just a little.
My nieces and nephews like me too.
They love Lori.
Yeah.
But they relate to me better. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think they prefer me to Lori, but they understand we get each other better than Lori gets them because she's so resistant to kids.
Ours kind of get us too and I mean both of us as a whole because of the comic book and video game and all that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean we get that, but I'm talking about like having to take care of one.
Yeah.
Is my issue. And I'm very cranky when it comes to like kids in restaurants and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't like when people want me to babysit their kid in a restaurant. Let them run around in a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I'm revealing a lot about myself right now.
You are, but that's okay. That's good.
So I kind of understood.
It's good that you're being open about this.
Thank you. I kind of understood his testiness. With her, but he was a huge jerk.
Right.
So
now I will give him credit for at least trying to own it.
Definitely.
And make amends.
Right.
So
100%.
Again, if you weren't that way in the first place,
you didn't have to own up to it.
You wouldn't have to. Yeah, you wouldn't have to clean it up your mess.
And then lastly, tautologuing. That's Rain.
Right.
And Lena is doing the same thing that she did for the last two episodes. Pretty much just puttering around in her lab.
These two characters are kind of stuck in this limbo where Rain is in, like, basically trying to be the Supergirl's version of Hannibal Lecter behind a glass window. And Lena is out there trying to, figure out a cure, but she's getting nowhere.
Right.
And Rain is now to the point where, like, I could break out of here if I want to. I've got enough power back.
Right.
So, and if you have something to kill me, you better use it. And so she reveals at the end, hey, I know you've got this kill switch. And if you use it and I guess it'll kill Sam, and then Ruby's without a mom. And
you don't have the guts to use it. She's really
pushing her.
Yeah.
So this is where the taunting comes in.
Right.
And of course, Monel and Kara show up just when Rain breaks out of her cell.
That's right. And cut to black.
Yep.
That's the
to
very
be continued next week.
That's right. And something
I kind of laughed at the way they did that too, because they show like Rain charging out of the window at them, and then they cut.
I know exactly.
It's like
Dope.
where you almost kind of like freeze in place, and then
Yeah, it was almost a freeze in place.
Like something out of the 80s, or like
You know what it reminds me of? Police Squad.
Right.
Where
or the Archer episode where at the end, Archer, like after the smoke, it was like they were doing Smokey and the Bandit rip.
Yeah.
And then like
Pam
runs off, like does something bad, and Archer's like Pam, and starts to run after her, and they freeze in place.
Oh, look at old Smokey go. Yep. Exactly. If you look on the next page in our document, those are the clothes I was talking about.
Okay.
And they're called units.
All right. So this is something she's showing me, guys, in case you're wondering. Okay. So, all right. So they're very colorful and very 80s. That's definitely.
Yep. And that's like 4 different pieces there, and you can wear them all different ways.
Kind of like some of the later outfits Rogue was wearing in the 80s in X-Men comics.
Mm-hmm.
With the kind of, like some shoulder pad things, or, like asymmetrical,
they
tops.
They had shoulder pads that you could put in with Velcro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very 80s design.
Now, doesn't it kind of remind you what they were wearing? Kind of, a little bit.
Kind of. But remember, they're trying to do an outer spacey thing.
I know, but I'm just saying it.
And apparently, Krypton had the better designers.
Well, yeah, but they weren't ponchos, right?
No.
Okay. Did you close out by accident?
I thought I did.
Okay.
I think I was trying
You're
to
still there.
I was trying to move back and accidentally click stuff. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
All right. So, anything else about this episode?
No. I'll put that in the Facebook page.
Okay. But, so we have, keep an eye on Anjali J as Selena, guys.
Yeah. Well, she's been in it with the hood over.
I know. But, now that we know she's playing
Now that we know what her name is,
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, that's like a Supergirl villain.
Mm-hmm.
So, nice nod to the movie. All right, what's your rating?
I give it 8 heavy AF ponchos. Because again, the ponchos just...
Right. And I give it 8.5 motorcycles obviously rigged to explode, because there's a scene where Alex comes out of this bar or whatever, and, this is where the guy's been trying to kill her, the assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's like, well, hey, my bike's been out here unattended. So she goes out, and I'm thinking... check your bike. Mm-hmm. Have you not seen it? Like, you haven't someone trying to kill you, and you just automatically assume your bike is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to start her bike, and of course, something starts ticking down or whatever, and she's like, oh, I guess I better get off the bike.
Right.
And then boom, blows up real good. So, yeah. It's just like, come on, man.
Right.
But otherwise, I kind of like this episode.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was better than last week's, I thought.
Yeah. And I did like the Argo City stuff. I thought that was cool. So.
I'm already trepidatious about next week.
Ooh, good word there.
Thank you.
Very nice. Absolutely very nice. Okay, so let's move on. iZombie 413, and He Shall Be a Good Man. The season finale of iZombie.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't talked about this for a while. So we kind of need to catch up on what's been going on a little bit. So this is written by Rob Thomas, showrunner, directed by Dan Etheridge.
Mm-hmm.
And what's our A, B, and C, Karen?
A head for a head.
Mm-hmm.
That's the head swapping there at the end, really, but,
Right.
We Can Be Heroes.
Just for one day.
That's right.
That has to be Liv, because...
And someone else who is recruited at the end of the episode to...
Oh, that's true.
To do something.
That's true.
And Liv. I meant it for Liv, too. And Daddy Dunfor.
Well, that has to be... what's his name? The...
whatever his dad's name is.
Blaine's father.
Yeah.
Angus.
Angus, yes.
Yeah, I have to remember that. All right, so a head for a head.
That's the main storyline. I mean, the whole Liv getting hunted.
So to catch everybody up on what's been going on with iZombie, Liv has essentially taken over for this woman named Renegade, so that she's been trying to get humans out of the zombie city.
Right.
And, essentially this section of Seattle has become this zombie town. It's been walled off from the rest of Seattle. And Fillmore Graves troops have essentially become this city within the city's police force.
Right.
And their job is to essentially keep people from leaving.
Right.
So Liv and her allies have to smuggle people out of the city.
Aren't they also bringing people in?
They are. They're bringing zombies in or whatever or families. They're trying to reunite families and whatnot.
Right. And making them into zombies. And also sick people.
Sick. That's a good point. Yeah, sick people.
Terminally ill people.
They bring them in, these sick people in, and then Liv will voluntarily scratch them.
Right.
But
it's not like it's willy-nilly. She picks from a list and only the most deserving. And
right. It's not just anybody.
Right.
She's very discriminating.
Right.
But obviously this is highly illegal and can get her killed because, as we find out, Fillmore Graves likes to execute people with guillotines. Mm-hmm. They're bringing the guillotine back.
Well, kind of guillotines.
Yeah.
It doesn't cut off their head, but...
Well, it's more like a shunk the brain.
It smashes.
Yeah.
It's an anvil.
That's true.
But it's close enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because, obviously they have to kill if they just chop off at the neck.
Their head still lives.
Their head still lives.
Right.
So, so they essentially either have to slice through the brain, or they have to just pulverize it.
Smash it. Yep.
Kind of like, what's his name? The comedian. Gallagher.
I saw him live once.
Yeah, you told me.
Have I said that before?
You mentioned that, yeah. Yeah. You were in the splash zone.
I was.
Lucky you. Did you have plastic wrap? Okay, well, at least you had that. So that was a thing.
A poncho.
Poncho. Was it one of those Argo City ponchos?
It wasn't heavy AF, no.
Those sexy Argo City ponchos?
Yeah, no.
All right. So that's what has been going on with Liv.
And she has a new bow. Right,
yeah. So she's got this guy whose name is, where is it here? Levon.
Right.
Levon. So essentially, Levon is another zombie who's been kind of helping her with her cause.
He's the filmmaker, right?
Yeah, something like that. So he's been documenting everything that her activities.
Right.
And it actually comes into play because he created this documentary to create sympathy for Liv, because she ends up captured.
Right.
And in this final episode, she's ready to be brought out for execution. So Levon is trying to get sympathy. And apparently this documentary becomes very popular. Like over 250,000 people watch this thing. And even some of the guards on the Fillmore Graves watch it, which comes in handy because they end up letting her, helping her get free.
Help her get free, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And so that's going on.
To the detriment of their boss, unfortunately, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or fortunately.
So Chase Graves is, he's still kind of a dick.
Kind of a dick?
Yeah. And there's essentially he's been hoarding all the brain tubes because there's so many zombies now. They can't keep up with the demand.
Right.
So a lot of the zombies within the city are starving.
Yep. And the outside world has stopped.
Right.
Volunteering. And they're not sending any more in.
So taking advantage of this situation is Angus, a.k.a. Blaine's father.
Right.
Who, if you remember, a while back was left down a well by Blaine.
Right.
After he was turned into a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And Blaine just kind of would stop by and throw him a few brain pieces to kind of and hang out with him and talk for a while.
Right. And taunt him. However,
he gets out of the well.
Yeah, but he thought this was manna from heaven.
Yeah.
Which is amusing. I'm guessing he didn't hear what Blaine was saying.
No.
So he thought like God was sending him food from heaven.
And I forget what happened, but somehow he becomes like really super religious. I don't know if he just lost his mind while he was down the well.
It was because he thought God was sending him this food from heaven. And so when he got saved from the well, he decided he was going to pass along this love that
like it was just God raining brains down on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he decided he was going to find a way to pass this along to other zombies in need.
Right. So essentially when he gets out of the well, he becomes a prophet.
Right.
And he gets himself a nice little religious following of zombies that are kind of fed up with the way things are. And he essentially takes advantage of the unrest going on and kind of turns it into like a revolution almost.
Right. A mini revolution.
An uprising.
Right.
And so he goes back to Blaine, and Blaine is running a restaurant with Don E.
Right.
Which is just great, in addition to the Scratching Post Club.
Right. Which I love the name of, the Scratching Post.
Yes. So, Don E's kind of like Blaine's henchman now.
Right.
And they're getting along now. They're actually working together.
Right.
And Donnie is bought into Blaine. But then Angus shows up and he's like, "Hey, son, how about you kind of help my followers out with some food, and we'll only come by once a week."
Yeah, and he has some leverage. I don't remember what the leverage is, but he has some leverage over him. That was a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was, but there's some kind of blackmail he uses.
Well, yeah, maybe he was just aware he was going to out Blaine about whatever shady stuff he was doing.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, so eventually Blaine kind of is like, well, hey, maybe I can use this. Mm-hmm. So he kind of feeds his father's belief, and kind of like tries to manipulate him along the way. Like, hey, Pop, why don't wouldn't it be great if your followers kind of like got outside the walls and turned humans outside and spread the zombie virus out there?
Right, like they're spreading the word.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Angus and his followers try to get outside the city walls, but they end up in this episode getting mowed down by soldiers. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like probably Daddy done for.
It is, because they end up taking Angus out.
Right. And they make a very blatant point of having like a camera crew go by and showing that, well, okay, here's what's the after effects of this mass shooting of all these zombies, and that soldiers are going around making sure that the zombies will not recover. Right. And so we see a bunch of soldiers emptying hundreds of bullets into Angus's body. Right. So he's obviously dead and not coming back.
Right. Well, they shoot right into his head. So.
Right, but I mean they do it repeatedly. Right. They don't just shoot one bullet.
Right.
They just shoot dozens of bullets.
Yeah, and Blaine is watching that on TV.
Right. Yeah. So it's well, okay, he's dead.
Yeah, Blaine is very happy about that.
Yeah. So problem solved there.
Yeah.
And so that's probably his goals to get rid of his father that way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was, and the whole group of them.
Yeah. Yeah, all the followers.
He figured they'd get mowed down. So
yeah.
And when Liv is getting taken to the gallows. Right. They couldn't save her boyfriend and another one of the people. They get taken out by the anvil.
Levon ends up getting squashed first.
Yeah, that made me sad.
So Liv has lost another boyfriend for those keeping track.
Man.
The boyfriend that survived is Major, apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is dead.
So she's just about to get her head cut off, her head smashed.
Yeah.
When Major and the other soldiers come in, and Major pulls her out when Chase holds on to her and tries to pull her back, but it ends up pulling him through and it smashes his head.
Right. So, bye, Chase.
Chase is gone, and now Major steps up and he's the head of Fillmore Graves.
Yeah, because there's like those Angus's followers were kind of like attacking one of the doors or whatever.
Yep.
And so they needed a leader. Mm-hmm. And after a few awkward moments, everybody looks to Major for leadership, and he steps up.
Yep.
And essentially becomes the new Chase.
So he's the head, yeah. Yeah. And through all this, Ravi has called Paige. No, not Paige.
Peyton.
Peyton, thank you.
You're welcome.
Peyton.
Now, Peyton.
He's called Peyton and told her that he loves her. And then in return, she calls him and says that she loves him, and he says, I know, which I thought was hilarious.
He does the Han Solo move, which
and
is
she says, really?
And then he has to backpedal.
He has to walk it back.
He has to grovel.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm enjoying the groveling right now.
Yeah. I loved that in exchange. So they're back together, which is great.
Yeah.
But Ravi has told Liv that he has a cure, and it is just in this one brain.
Yeah, this girl that Ravi, we find out earlier in the season, there was this girl, I'm blanking on her name, Isabel.
Isabel, right.
Isabel, and great girl who had this, she was dying,
mm-hmm.
But she was hoping to use her death to help with the zombie cure.
Right.
And so she ends up dying. This
is the one that Liv tried to scratch and she didn't turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So Liv tried to turn her, but it wouldn't work. So then, therefore, Ravi was like, well, hey, maybe she's the zombie cure.
Mm-hmm.
So she dies, and Ravi takes her brain and offers it to Liv as a cure.
Mm-hmm.
But later in this episode, Clive and Dale, remember them? Liv's partner, and Dale Bazio are back together, and they want to get married. Clive is ready to become a zombie, mm-hmm. So he can be with Dale.
Right.
But Clive really wants kids.
Right.
Now, Liv's solution for all this? Well, I'm going to give Dale the cure.
Right.
So that she can become human, and then they can have kids.
Yeah. Which is very Liv.
Be a human couple. So, yeah, it is very Liv. And even characters on the show are like, that's Liv. That's so Liv.
It is. And, it's not her fault that she got turned into a zombie.
Right. But apparently she's more cool with it than, the idea of that Clive has to become a zombie.
Right.
So.
It's such a good thing that she does.
Yeah, so it's very self-sacrificing, but we expect nothing less from Liv on this.
And it wouldn't be iZombie if she wasn't a zombie.
Right. But, so Clive and Dale get married
in
a very weird wedding at the police station.
At the precinct, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, they show her eating some ice cream and a GIF, which is funny. It was a very good episode, I thought. I was very sad about Liv's boyfriend, though.
Yeah. Now the episode ends with and the way this episode ends is that Rob Thomas, he essentially wrote this episode as like, well, it could be a series finale because we don't know if we're coming back.
Right.
Like he did the opposite of what Lucifer should have done.
Right. Yeah, he did the exact opposite of what Lucifer did.
He was smart.
Yeah.
And wrote this as a series finale. So Liv. There's this part where Liv, the Liv's allies asked Liv to come out to this pool area, and the entire area is filled with people cheering for her.
Yeah, she's going to give up that job.
Right.
But they talk her back
Robin. Yeah, she wants to quit being renegade, but then she sees everybody being supportive, and then Ravi and Peyton ask Liv if she wants to continue being renegade.
Right.
So that could have been the end of the show.
Right. And then they approach Blaine.
Yeah.
And say that.
Major makes a deal with Blaine to okay, we'll look the other way if you hook us up with brains.
Right. So there's an uneasy treaty there.
A truce.
Right.
So
and
I'm sure that will go wrong.
Major makes it clear that, there's a new game in town.
Sheriff in town, yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. So anything else that I missed?
I thought this season was really good. It's very solid.
Yeah. They keep escalating this thing. Oh, and we got Johnny Frost this episode. So right there,
that's right.
Johnny Frost always makes everything better.
With the cooking segment. There
was a cooking segment, and then there was this this great exchange just to get Johnny Frost to tag along, where they go he goes, "Can I ride with you? I lost my license for a reason I
can't get into right now."
Yeah. Right. That was great.
Yeah, I lost my license for a reason I can't get into right now. So can I come along with you?
It was such a Johnny Frost thing to say. I just laughed. It made me laugh so hard at that.
The cooking segment was hilarious, though.
It was good. So, this has been a great season of iZombie. So if you kind of checked out iZombie, you should go check back in because it's been pretty good.
Agreed. And one more season for them to wrap it up, which will be good.
Presumably just another 13 episodes. So, but this should be it. Mm-hmm. So at least they get a chance to wrap it up properly and not rush through it. I thought this episode was a little rushed, but they weren't sure if they were going to come back. So I get it.
Still, I liked it.
Yep. So what's your rating?
8.5 ice cream gifts.
You really liked that ice cream gift.
I did. I thought it was very sweet.
Yeah. I give it an 8.5 dropping guillotines.
Yeah.
So
I'm very sad. I am always sad when she loses a boyfriend. It's always tragic. The fourth?
Third or fourth? Well, I think it's fourth counting Major.
But she hasn't lost that boyfriend.
No.
Died.
No, because there was the guitarist.
The guitarist, which that one I'm still hurting from.
Because Blaine killed that guy.
Yeah. The guitarist, and then the guy that was locked up in Supermax's basement.
Oh, yeah?
He was the skateboarder or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So who else?
And then this guy.
So that's 3.
3.
I was right. Yeah. 3 plus Major.
Plus Major.
Okay. Yep, but they're all dead, so it's not the greatest track record.
So can we end up with her and Major together?
I think that's what they keep killing off boyfriends just so that probably eventually they'll hook up, live with Major. But I really don't think Major's good for her with all the shady stuff that he does.
Well, I agree, but still, I think they're soulmates.
But I don't know. He kidnapped her this season.
For her safety.
But still.
She would have died if he didn't.
Kidnapped her. He could have come up with a better way to do that. Instead of throwing her in the trunk of a car.
Yeah, but you know why he did it.
I know.
And I think she does, too.
Yeah. All right. Final show. Legion 209, Chapter 17. Try and get through this as fast as we can, guys.
Buckle up, folks.
Yep, we're going for a ride.
Literally.
Written by Noah Hawley and Nathaniel Halpern, showrunners. Directed by Noah Hawley. Showrunner, which is probably why I like this episode a little more. Mm-hmm. Great music in this episode, by the way.
Incredible music.
I'm starting to put together my Legion 2 custom soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much psychedelic, rock in this season. It's crazy.
Is there as much music as last season?
There is. I mean, last season it had some psychedelic rock, but this is much more in this season.
Okay.
And some more modern psychedelic rock. It's not just old Stones
60s
music or whatever. It's some modern bands and very trippy stuff. So let's see. So what's our A, B, and C, Karen?
A story: The Girl He Used to Know.
Okay.
that would be Melanie.
Right. Yeah, this is a big Melanie episode.
Huge Melanie episode. She wants her body. That's Lenny and Amy.
Yeah.
And then, carry on my wayward son.
There'll be peace when you are done.
Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Okay.
I had to join in on the riffing.
Thank you.
Guitar riff.
And it's actually carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is obviously Carrie and Carrie. Carrie with a C, Carrie with a K.
Right.
And that was a Kansas song, in case you're wondering.
Yes.
If you don't know that song, you should. It's a very 70s classic.
Mm-hmm.
70s classic.
It's much too high for me.
No, I thought you did really well with that.
Oh, thank you. That's all head voice, though.
But you did good. You sounded better than
Thank
you thought you did.
All right.
You sounded great.
Thank you.
Much better than me, that's for sure. That's not hard. All right. So the girl he used to know, and this is Melanie. So remember at the end of the last episode, we talked about how Melanie was taken over by the Shadow King through Oliver.
Minotaur.
The Minotaur.
That's right.
And so this kind of explains what's been up with Melanie, what she's been doing. Apparently she's been doing a lot of baking.
Yeah, wake and bacon. And it rewinds a little bit, too. We start and end on the same scene.
Yeah.
And it's a scene that we saw in the last episode, too, so we get to see it 3 times.
Right.
Where she hits...
Where she gets Clark and knocks him unconscious.
Clark, right. And we also see a scene from last episode with her and Sid,
right.
Where she and Sid are talking about our men, or 2 episodes ago, I don't remember, where they're talking about our men always do look good. That's a scene that they showed before as well, where Sid comes and sits in her room and they have a chat about, you know, are you waiting on him? Are you, you know, our men always look good when they come back, and we look different, and
right,
and all these weird rambling things. And then the scene goes further in this episode, and if you notice, I don't know if you noticed or not, her tea kettle goes.
Okay, no.
Okay, her tea kettle, the whistle goes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so do you remember Sid and David had a conversation in the first episode about Sid saying she would hold her breath until the whistle went. And if she could hold her breath until the whistle went off, David was alive.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
But when they were chatting in this episode, Sid and Melanie's tea kettle goes off.
Right.
And Sid gets up and takes it off the burner.
Do you think Sid and Melanie swap places?
I don't know. Or there's something going on with...
Right. Well,
I mean, why would they put a whistling tea kettle in this episode?
I don't know. So Melanie, this exchange with Sid gets very weird. She says, like, the saddest 2 words in the English language are vacant lot.
Yeah, very weird.
And, you know, and then later, Oliver visits her. He sings to her. She pulls a gun on him.
Yeah.
They have this really tense conversation.
That's all in her head, but I think it's really him.
Right. And then he says he always comes back to the girl he left behind.
Right.
And then she turns around and sees herself as her younger self in the mirror.
Right.
So.
And then she's definitely inside Farouk's head.
Right.
Because the next scene is her like in a pool, and she's next to Farouk on a lounge chair, and they have a conversation about the monk and where his body is. And then it like the camera like does a pan around, and then she turns into the Melanie of today, and it does this weird Oh man, it's just weird. She continues to get high through the whole episode.
Yes.
It's just so weird.
So what I think is going on, the reason that she's obviously trying to, she keeps trying to remain in this drugged out state, is that so she can communicate with Oliver.
Probably.
So maybe, now it seems like the Shadow King was taking advantage of this, which is maybe how he got to control over Melanie.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe he figured out that Melanie was reaching out to Oliver.
Right.
And it kind of backfired on her.
Right. I think so. But I don't know why the tea kettle was there, but I think it has some kind of significance.
Yeah. And then Melanie ends up having a conversation with Carrie. Mm-hmm. With a K.
Right. And Carrie with a K.
We never see these two characters interact.
No.
So this is right there. This is a first. So she wonders if, like, this is all a dream. Mm-hmm. And she wonders how, like, she knows that all of this isn't just a dream, that it's real. Mm-hmm. And then Carrie tells her that she knows because when she hits people, they fall down, which I thought was funny.
Well, you have to remember, Carrie hasn't been outside.
No, well, Carrie is a very, like,
literal.
I'm the person that hits people.
Right.
That's my job.
But and she's the one who stays inside the body.
Yeah.
Or she
has a very
used
limited experience.
Right.
Yes.
But now she's the one that stays outside all the time.
Right.
And she doesn't know about idioms, which I think is funny. They talk about idioms in this episode. And so she hasn't interacted with these people on the regular. Right. And so for her to have this extended conversation with Melanie is different.
Yeah, because she's obviously not very introspective.
Right. She doesn't get it.
And Carrie, like, Melanie hits Carrie with the thought that, like, well, what if you're just a dream, and Carrie with a C, his head.
Right. And she cannot conceive of that.
Yeah.
Right? Carrie just cannot conceive of this because it's past her. She has never had that kind of thought.
Right.
Her whole life is about, the concrete. Everything in her life is concrete. And, it's just, that's how she is. I love how he's saying, Melanie seems very blue. Carrie says to girl, boy Carrie says to girl Carrie. And Carrie says, what are you talking about? She looked normal to me. No, blue, like melancholy, like sad.
Right, he has to explain that too.
Right. Like, she has too much time on her hands. And then girl Carrie looks at her hands like, too much time on her hands. It's funny that...
It's very like this innocence almost.
Right, that she's just not getting...
Naivete.
Idioms, yeah. And one of the things that gave me pause in this episode was boy Carrie talking about his mortality. And I was not fond
that's kind of like our Carry On or My Wayward Son. Well, we might as well talk about this.
And that is also them figuring out that that David implanted this plan into their head as well. Like Carrie with a K is physically training while Carrie's working on stuff. Right. She does this cool like jump move, like she's in like an upper level or whatever, and she kind of jumps down to the bottom level. Yeah, she's awesome.
All jungle cat like.
Right.
And
in her bell bottoms.
Right. And the platform shoes. Mm-hmm. So she looks really cool doing that.
She does.
And of course, she's got that big long Native American hair, so looks really cool doing that. And they both see a vision of David's plan, and they basically take this weapon, and they're directed by David to go to this place under a sign that has like a neon octopus.
Right.
And
blue. It's blue. Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's a neon sign.
Right.
Is my point.
Right.
And,
it's a bar, right?
Right. It's like some bar or whatever. And so they end up like in the parking lot. And so they go there, and they put this case in the trunk and then leave.
It's like a makeup case, which I find amusing.
Yeah, so they put that in there.
Now, we saw flashes of all of this.
Yeah.
In the last episode, David is planning all this stuff while he's playing Risk, and we see these little flashes. And we see them doing these little things, like little pieces of it in the last episode. So we see him plotting all of this.
Right, he's setting things up.
Right.
But we don't see the big picture yet.
Right. We just saw little pieces. And I thought it was him sending everybody out all at the same time. But apparently this is him putting this chain of events into play. So he's told them, get this case with a weapon in it out of this lockup, put it in the back seat of this car that's out in the parking lot.
Right. And
this was after, of course, he sent Lenny out on the motorcycle. So she's gone already. Take this, put it in this old car in the parking lot, drive the car to this place with the neon sign out in front.
So we know that Clark is part of the plan. We know that Lenny is part of the plan. And we know the Carries are part of the plan.
Correct.
So both Carries are they wait inside a restaurant near where they left the car. Mm-hmm. And this is where they talk about, he's worried that she's going to grow, she'll be alone and lonely.
Right. Oh, yeah, and she doesn't get that. Well, I'm not going to be by myself.
And he's like, well, I could grow old and die, and then you'll be alone then.
Right. Right. And she doesn't get the concept of loneliness because she says she'll have people around her. And he says, well, you might still be lonely. But how could I be lonely with other people around? And he can't get through to her that you can always be lonely.
Right.
And
feel lonely, yeah.
Right. And this is where they talk about idioms and, his mortality. And they have all these. And then all of a sudden...
Yeah. Then Lenny shows up, headed for the car.
Yep.
She gets in the driver's seat. The car door closes, and then it vanishes with her in it.
In a puff of purple.
But Carrie, with the C, reveals that he put a tracking device on the weapon so they can follow it.
Yep.
So maybe they figure the plan was, I'll release Lenny. We track where she goes. Mm-hmm. And that's how we can find the Shadow King.
Right. Or at least that's what we think. And it appears in the desert.
Right. And
on
catches
fire.
on fire. Right.
She grabs the weapon, and that is where we see her walking away from a car on fire, brushing her hair out of her face. That's that little flash that we got in the last episode.
That was pretty funny. So she goes back to the trunk, just not worried about that the car is going to explode or whatever.
Right. She just saunters back.
She just goes back and she's like, oh, I forgot this in the trunk. Right. And grabs the case.
And then we just see her wandering off.
Right. And then she sees a bunch of monks with boxes on their head sitting in a circle and meditating.
Right. Just weird.
Yeah.
And this was after her sequence going to the drug den. Mm-hmm. Because she had to make a pit stop when she got out.
This is where we have she wants her body.
Yeah.
So so she goes to that drug den where she used to hang out, and she's apparently like a local celebrity.
With the queen.
The queen, yes.
The cornflake queen.
So, yeah, cornflake girl. Yeah. Which is a name of a Tori Amos song, by the way.
Yeah.
Cornflake, which I think... and it's like her only good one, really, in my opinion, but that's just me. So they try to throw her this party, of course, and during this, she sees Amy's face. Mm-hmm. So that she goes into a bedroom, and she's intending to have sex with one of the girls there.
Right.
And then she starts getting visions of her transformation. And she gets visions of that and David's plan.
Right. And that's when she leaves and...
Right. And then the next morning, Amy's there. Mm-hmm. And she says that Lenny could give her body back. And Lenny's like, I don't know how to do that.
Right. She says, am I going to see you now? Yep. Is this the deal? Then Amy says, well, you could give me my body back.
Yeah, it's like, I'm ready to have some fun, so strap in. Mm-hmm. and watch what I've got in store. So
yep.
And then
it dovetails into the.
And then Amy asks Lenny if she's a good person.
Over and over and over and over.
And just pushes her on this.
Right.
And then Lenny's like, gets really tired. She's like, I'm not the worst or the best, and that it doesn't make a difference, but Amy just won't stop asking her. Mm-hmm. And then Lenny's just like, shut up.
Right.
And then she wakes up next to that woman. Mm-hmm. So.
And Amy also taunts her about being in love with David.
Right. And then later, Lenny sees flashes of the plan that David put in her head. Then she sees an image of the angriest boy in the world.
Oh, my God.
Which is all kinds of creepy.
Gross. Sitting on a couch.
Yep. She sees the neon octopus sign and then she wakes up next to Amy in bed. Lenny tries to smother Amy with a pillow, but it doesn't work.
Because she's not really there.
Right. And she's like, Amy says Lenny needs to do what she's told and that David's waiting. Mm-hmm. So presumably David is talking to Amy, who is still lurking inside Lenny's body.
Sure.
Yeah. And then Amy realizes that Lenny loves David.
Yeah, and she taunts her.
And she says, if David needs her, she'll be there. Mm-hmm. So Lenny looks outside, sees the neon sign, and then realizes she's where she needs to be. And then Lenny's lover walks in and starts rubbing her stomach, saying they're going to have a little prince.
Right. That's weird.
Yeah. How?
Yeah.
Or what's going on there?
Yeah.
So we don't know. Anything else that I missed?
Not that I know of. And again, Melanie, it's the start and the end of the episode where she knocks out.
Right. Yeah.
What's his name that I cannot
Clark.
Thank you, Clark.
Yeah. And then she gets brought to Oliver.
Right, in the purple room.
Yeah, that's where we left.
The future Sid purple room.
Right. So 2 more episodes to go, guys. Strap in.
Yeah. This was trippy AF.
Yeah, lots of cool, lots of psychedelic music in this one.
Yeah.
But it's making for a great soundtrack. That's all I'm saying.
Have you ever seen the movie Head with the monkeys?
No, but I know of it. Yeah. So, what's your rating for this one?
8.5 animal bongs. There was a scene where Lenny was looking across a shelf and it was all just animal bongs lined up.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the frog, with the hookah or whatever.
The frog was in this one too.
The frog, yeah. So that.
But there were others too.
Yeah.
And of course the elephant that Melanie had.
And I give this one 9 neon octopi, which is the plural for octopus, not octopuses.
Right.
So octopi.
Right.
So there you go.
I was going to make a joke, but I think I'll leave that alone.
Okay.
You already had your James Bond. So if you probably can guess what I was going to say.
Yep. All right. So, Octopussy.
That's what I was going to say.
I figured you would. All right. So, it's a movie, guys. Come on. Grow up.
It is.
All right. So, I think that about does it for our shows this week. So
that's right.
Do we have any Justina feedback?
We do. Let me play it.
Please do.
Hi, Karen and Charles. Wow, The Dark Side of the Moon was a fantastic surprise of an episode. Just edge of your seat all the way. Edge of your seat because somebody's after Alex. Edge of your seat because you think it's just an unoccupied meteor and then you find an entire city. But I'm super worried because even though it's awesome that there are Kryptonians left and they didn't all die when Krypton exploded, one of the people on the council is the creator of rain. So she voted to give Kara the Rock of Utica. But what if the rock doesn't help bring out Sam at all? What if it makes Sam weaker? What if it makes Rain stronger? What if it's a trap? And Kara just discovered her mother is alive. That's very distracting. What if she becomes distracted? while there's a triple strong world killer threatening her city. This could be really, really bad. 10 out of 10 unexpected cities on meteors. I just finished S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh my god, that was amazing. Oh my god, that's going to be a long hiatus. For a season that barely held my attention at the beginning, it really turned out to be quite the storyline. I enjoyed it very much in the end. So there's another copy of Fitz, right? That's what's going on here. The Fitz that went to the future to save them all died, but they went back in time. So there's a copy of Fitz here. So Fitzsimmons is going to be okay. I don't need to cry all the way till next summer, right?
Nope.
And I believe that Gemma is already pregnant, so that probably means that Deke is safe either way. Which is great, because I like Deke. Did I mention that before? Oh, I got a question about the Flash that I forgot to ask last week. Does Iris have another sister in the comics? Or did they invent this little baby girl West for the show? Have a super week.
Thank you, Justina.
Thank you, Justina, as always. Yes, they invented this character for the show. Iris actually has two brothers, but in the comics, but no sister.
Correct.
So, because her father and mother are completely different characters in the comics too. So, yeah.
Yep.
So
they've taken some liberties.
They've taken one or two liberties, yes, as the Berlanti-verse tends to do.
That's right.
Right.
And yeah, I'm dying for the next season of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well.
Yeah, so hopefully they end strong. They only have 13 episodes.
Yeah, but at least they know again that it's their last season and they can bring it.
Here's hoping they can have a big, strong final storyline.
And let's not weeden it, guys. Seriously, can we not have a happy ending?
Right.
Please?
Right.
And, okay, not for you because, you want the May Coulson thing.
Right. Hey.
Coulson's dead.
Felinda.
He's dead.
Felinda, come on. No. He's in a wonderful place.
Come on, it's time.
A magical place.
It's time. He outlived his usefulness. I love Coulson. I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. I really do. But I really think it's time.
We'll see. I'm not ready to give up just yet. May lost her husband, and
I know. I feel bad for May.
So why do this to May?
I know.
May deserves better.
I agree with you there.
Than to lose Coulson too.
At least they're prepared for it.
Yep.
But
all right.
Fitz and Simmons do not deserve Fitz to die.
Again
and again and again and again and again.
Yeah, it's getting old, guys.
It is.
Stop torturing these poor characters.
I know. All right, so.
Yeah, so if you want to be like Justina and you want to drop us a line, where can they do that, Karen?
They can find us at facebook.com/Fandom Zone Podcast. Yep. They can email us at fandomzonecast@gmail.com, just like...
At the Gmail.
Yep, just like Justina emails us. And you can listen and subscribe to us in Apple Podcasts and leave us a review there. You can also find us on the Twitter machine at FandomZoneCast. And I am on the Twitter machine as Aleveria, Aleveria, or at Alleys_stuff. And in the bio, there's a link to my blog at which you can find all my other links.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. As for me, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram, at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus, and Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs, and my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the shows that we talk about here on the Fandom Zone podcast and more. And all kinds of comic book, sci-fi news about, like, we talked about that I posted about Preacher Season 3.
Oh, I can't wait.
So it's almost here. Just a few more weeks, guys. Hang in.
The amazing Betty Buckley.
Yep.
I can't wait.
So stay tuned, and lots to talk about. So otherwise, my other podcast I do for Southgate Media, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, which has an appearance by a certain Karen. certain Karen Lindsay. Maybe
33.
Might want to check that out.
Episode
33. Check it out. And also, let's see. Next up, everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast they do with Jesse Jackson, friend of the show, and also Titan Talk, the Titans podcast that I also do with Jesse.
Happy birthday, Jesse.
Happy birthday, Jesse. It says today's his birthday.
That's right.
You know what would be a great way to celebrate Jesse's birthday? If Rob Southgate posted our episodes. That would be great.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. Subtle hint. All right. All right. So, otherwise, we've got some, now that a lot of our shows are wrapped up, it's going to be interesting because we have, next week, this coming week, I should say, we've got the premiere of Cloak and Dagger on Freeform we could talk about, which I'm interested in talking about that. Hopefully it's good. And hopefully, because Runaways, if you ever checked out Runaways on Hulu, that's actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. But we also have the premiere of season 2 of Luke Cage.
That's right.
The
whole thing's dropping.
Yeah, so plenty of that to talk about. We still have Supergirl to talk about.
Yep. And Legion.
And, of course, Legion. So
we're not going to skip Legion.
Nope. So right there, we still have a pretty full plate.
We do.
We timed things pretty well.
We did.
So we'll check that out. And we still have Jessica Jones to catch up on whenever.
We may just pass that by.
We may have to skip that. You never know. But because we still have so many shows. By the time we get through these, who knows? But we'll see. But so we've got some shows to talk about. So come on back next week for episode 141 right here on the Phantom Zone podcast.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Heavy as F, ponchos.
That's right, ponchos.
Ponchos.